Welcome to this week's TDD Weekly Report for the week ending September 11th. This one I'm going to do a software update of the 5 softwares that I like to use on my computer. I'm going to start with antivirus and go through computer utilities, video editing software, etc. First off, for the antivirus, I have actually switched as of almost a year ago. I switched from AVG to Avast just because of the fact that AVG was actually missing some troublesome scripts on some pages, and actually friends of mine that were running AVG, and I also ran a test on it to confirm it, but AVG was actually not catching some script viruses and script trojans that were on certain websites which Avast could catch. So I've switched over, and I've urged most of my friends and those computers that I do work on for people, I have switched them all over to Avast antivirus software. So as I'm reading these off too, they should be pretty easy for you to find these software packages too. Pretty much every one of them that I'm listing here, well no, I'd say the majority of them will be free or low cost. I'm going to list one exception there to an upper level software I use, but pretty much all of them, if you put the name in Google, you should be able to find them. If you should have any trouble with any of the links to find these free software choices, just send me a PM and I'll give you the link to them. As far as browsers, I'm still staying with Firefox. It's nowhere near the top anymore, though. It's kind of glitchy, it's a little bit slow, it locks up on some of the Adobe Flash Player stuff at times, but I still stick with it because of the extensions and the add-ons. The extensions and add-ons are just still above and beyond anything else, but if I want browser performance, what I do is I use Safari for those areas where I need some browser performance or I need better buffering into video players and stuff like that. So my first pick is Firefox, second would be Safari, both of them free. For video editing, now I'm going to, as you know, I'm a Windows user right now, so everything's going to be Windows centric, so sorry about it for the Apple people. I urge anybody that's got their own choice of 5 softwares or so, or it doesn't have to be exactly 5, list them in the comments, the software you prefer, and I would love it if some Mac users too would list some free or low-cost software that people could use for different functions. For video editing, still Windows Movie Maker I think is the easiest for the fast and quick video editing. It is also in some areas quite powerful if you get to learn some of the things you can do with it. I think the only things that's lacking for the version that I use is if it had layers, so you can do picture-in-picture and chroma key. I've heard some people say that there's a way you can make chroma key work in Windows Movie Maker in Windows 7, but I'm not sure about that. But still, for just a fast, simple editor, I use it for most of my TDD reports. Most of the time I use Windows Movie Maker, so it's just fine. For mid-level and for high-def video, another simple one is AVS Video Editor. That does cost a little, excuse me, a little bit of money. I think I paid $49.95 for a lifetime license on it. They do normally, when you go to the page, they say it's $139, but every time I've ever seen the page, it's always been $139 marked down to something like $49.99. So I pay a little bit for that, but the thing I like about the AVS Video Editor, it's simple, but it has a lot of settings to adjust the video quality. Just numerous settings. It does have limited audio editing features too, though, so if you want to do a lot of extra audio editing in it, it's not really good for that, but just pure quality of high-def video and simple, it's got it there. Now if I really want to do some really complex stuff, I still stick with an old version of Adobe Premiere 4, which is like probably about 4 or 5 years old now, but it does the job. I don't know if you could even get it, maybe you could get it used for about 45 bucks on eBay or something like that to get a copy of it, but it's got plenty of the features, so it's a low-cost alternative too if you can find it, because it's a rather obsolete version. As far as utilities, one utility still that I keep going back and using over and over again is called Unlocker. You can find it if you go to Google and type file space Unlocker. It's up to version 1.9 I believe right now. If you have a file that you just absolutely have to delete, and for some reason Windows will not let you delete it, especially if your antivirus has told you the file is infected, this will rip it out by the roots, and if need be, sometimes you may have to reboot to totally get it out, but so far everything I've ever tried, if something has been locked up, this File Unlocker utility will absolutely take it out and get rid of it. As far as file converters, simplest and easiest one to use, still absolutely free, Quick Media Converter. So I would stick with that too. And the nice thing about Quick Media Converter, as far as the simple ones, it's the only simple one I'm aware of that's simple, free, and it will convert FLV files. So if you have FLV files, you want to make them into AVIs or WMVs or even MOVs, Quick Media Converter is the way to go. I still use, for the complex converting where I have to do a lot of settings, I still use Super Video Converter. A little bit more complicated, something just for experienced users, I would really say, because you can get lost in all the settings and things like that, but I still use that for any complex tasks I want to do. It can even do a little bit of simple editing of the videos too if you look at the settings. And lastly, as far as what I use for my player, I have switched on that too. I used to use Media Player Classic for playing most of my videos. I'm slowly switching over to the new version of VLC Media Player, just because of the fact, first I didn't like it when they switched to version 1.0 because I lost a lot of the menus and settings the way I was familiar with. Well, since they've upgraded to version 1.1 and even a little bit before that, you can go to Tools and you will see in some of your menu settings now you have access right straight through the menus to all your settings for your video, as far as the color, brightness, contrast, even your audio sync settings too. You can go to a menu, and if you have a video where the sound and audio, especially a movie, a long one, where the audio and video are not in sync, it's right on the menus now, and it's just a matter of clicking arrows up and down, and you can bring the audio and video perfectly in sync. So they've really corrected it, made it a lot better. The other thing I've noticed in older computers where you don't have the performance that you normally have, if you're having problems playing high-def videos with Media Player Classic or Windows Media Player, you can switch to VLC, and a lot of times that will get rid of the problems because the coding seems to run way faster on VLC. So I've had some machines that couldn't play high-def audio in the past be able to play it without dropping any frames with the VLC Media Player. So as we go out, I want to show you some pictures. This is a guy on Flickr posted these pictures called Justin Harder, and I also found him on another website too. The website is called, let me look at it real quick here, Damncoolpics. If some of you have played video games in the past, the old school video games where you have like a motorcycle race or a motorcycle obstacle course where you have one of those old pixelated kind of motorcycles, well, this guy actually, remember the old two-dimensional ones, not the three-dimensional ones? This guy actually decided to take a heavy-duty bicycle frame and, together with pieces of wood, laminate them together and make something that looks like this. Now, the way he built it, it looks like he didn't actually add pedals or any kind of motorized device to it at all, so it's basically just a gravity bike that will just roll downhill. I would hope that maybe sometime in the future you would add something like even one of those simple electric hub motors in the front so you could just drive it around a little bit, but it still looks kind of cool. So as we go out, I'll finish showing you some pictures from that. Take care, everybody. I will catch you next week.